I'd appreciate it if you just stop mentioning that result.
It'd be good if we could all have good owners rather than terrible owners like some of us might have.
Try to cause utter fume on social media and just say 11 Wrexham.
It wouldn't shock me if Wrexham made it up to the Championship.
Plenty of Wrexham's players that I wouldn't dare put forward, but I'm not going to name those.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman, and today we've got a fan perspective ahead of the FA Cup clash between Blackburn Rovers and Wrexham on Monday. Now it should be a cracking tie this. We've got a couple of fans from each team to speak to us. We've got Dan from Rovers Chat. Dan, how are you getting on?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for having us on and looking forward to a good FA Cup game under the lights.
And we've also got the opposition point of view. We've got Nathan from the Rob Ryan Red podcast, the Wrexham podcast.
Thanks for having me. I mean, I'm also looking forward to it. We've got a knack of beating these championship sides, so just another one to add to the list, I think.
And Nathan, I'll start with you. As I say, how are you feeling ahead of this one? Are you feeling confident that you can cause a bit of an upset?
I mean, we've got a chance. You know, people said we didn't have a chance against Coventry. We beat Coventry. That was a great away day for us. Sheffield United, we should have beaten them, and we got right under Billy Sharp's skin. But that's probably even better than getting through. And now we've got Blackburn, and Blackburn, look, on paper, you know, far better squad than we've got, but they're not having the best of seasons, and losing is contagious. So Wrexham win a lot of games, and they're going to be going there, rubbing their hands together, and hopefully putting on a show. 7,000 away fans there. It could be really, really special under the lights.
One hell of a following. And Dan, from a Blackburn point of view, is this kind of a potential banana skin? Is there a feeling that there could be a bit of an upset from your end too?
Yeah, like Nathan mentioned, obviously not going well in the league. I think it's a draw with a take, and that we always kind of just want to avoid that old Championship game where you go to somewhere you're going to go anywhere. We're glad it's at home, especially being, you know, where the racecourse is and being a Monday night. Now, the feeling around the club now is the league matters more, without a doubt, but we've had some good cup runs under John Dale Thompson. You know, this is the fourth cup campaign we've had under him, and every time we've been knocked out by a side that were just better than us. We've not had a game that we've lost that we shouldn't have lost really yet. So I think people are looking forward to it. It's better than having a naff old Championship draw, but I'd much rather be the ones without pressure on us. It feels like everything's on us, and there's only one outcome, isn't there? Really, when you think of it that way.
And Nathan, too, this probably has more effect on you and the Wrexham fans. This kickoff time being moved to a Monday evening. Obviously, there's been a bit of chat this season about FA Cup kickoff times and games selected for TV and those left off. Bit of frustration from you that it's on a Monday night?
Definitely. Lots of friends and family were planning on going, now can't go. And especially with the next round already being in a midweek. So whether it's Blackburn or ourselves, that's another midweek game that people have to work around. I guess from a Wrexham point of view, the higher up the leagues you go, I think fans are still getting used to this, the more you become susceptible to TV companies coming in and changing. That's not something we really had to worry about too much at the National League level because they only had one slot. And League Two, you never really get put on TV. So frustrating, yeah, for sure. But I still don't doubt that the feel-good feeling around Wrexham right now is that those 7,000 tickets, I expect to either all be sold or be very, very close to. And that is a fabulous effort when the game's going to be on TV and on a cold January night. It would be very, very easy to sit at home and watch it there.
The TV cameras are only turning up to see one thing, a cup upset, aren't they? So what do you think the attendance is going to be like from a Blackburn point of view? Are people struggling to get up for this one? Is there cheaper tickets on sale?
Yeah, tickets are £15, which it's all right for the cup. It's going to be an interesting one because I think we'll see a bigger crowd than if we'd have had any other League Two side. You know, Cambridge came on the Saturday and there were only 7,000 on, and they made up 1.6 thousand of that. So I feel we'll have a decent crowd. It won't be as good as the Saturday would have been. People will be up for it though. I'm sure Nathan's had it where everyone kind of wants to shut Wrexham up at the moment with every game. So I think people will be a bit up for that and try and, hopefully come and see us win the game. It's an interesting one because it's not a League Two side coming down to you like normal. It's not a one that you have full confidence in beating. I hope we do, but yeah, the attendance might be an interesting one here. I'm not sure how people will take to this game, but all the stands are open for the first time in a cup game in a long time. So hopefully we should get a good attendance.
Yeah, hopefully a cracking atmosphere as well under the lights. Nathan, bit of a wider question this one, but could you just sum up what it's been like to be a Wrexham fan since the takeover happened? I won't mention the two celebrities. I think everyone knows who they are. But what's it been like and how's the club changed for you?
We win a lot more games, and winning we'd forgotten is pretty fun actually. I'm more than happy to keep winning games. We'd lost a lot of games, and when you're in the same division for 15 years and more, we had a couple of good seasons in there, but we lost a lot more than we won. And what the takeover has done is just given hope back to what obviously I'm biased, but a brilliant football club, a brilliant community. And yeah, the people are jealous of Wrexham, but deep down, I think they know that it is a great fan base that travel huge. And, we speak so much about bad ownerships in football, and and Blackburn, I'm sure, got their own feelings on their own ownership situation. We talk all the time about bad owners. Of course, we've got two Hollywood actors that are devolving the power, but we need more of that. You need more feel good stories. That's why Wrexham is so popular outside the UK. It just makes me laugh and makes friends of mine laugh when we go to these places and everybody is desperate to beat, little old Wrexham, or players are very, very upset and put that in your documentary and do this and do that. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I was getting a little bit tired of those patronising pats on the head, and be nice to see Wrexham back up. Now everyone wants us relegated as far as we can go. That's how I like it.
And in the FA Cup this season, you've beaten Mansfield, Yeovil, and Shrewsbury, of course, in that brilliant third round game to get this far. How is the team progressing on the pitch this season in League Two as well?
Well, yeah, if you'd have asked me at halftime of the Shrewsbury game, I'd have probably given you a very different answer. We were struggling. They were pressing us really, really high, and we weathered the storm. I think we really showed in that game why we can go and beat these better teams. Elliot Lee is a fabulous footballer and has played at a high level and can, I think, do real damage to Blackburn if their midfield isn't on it. He's so good this season. Paul Mullin maybe hasn't been at the peak of what he was last season, but punctured your lung in pre-season, that's probably going to happen. And Wrexham suddenly got a load of punctured lung experts over the summer, which was very, very interesting in the fan base. But Paul Mullen's doing well. In League Two, we're where I expected us to be. We've spent money, we built a squad. Fans kept getting told we're building a squad for League One, and so we are where we should be in that top three in League Two. I expect us to maybe strengthen one or two this month. Whether they come in time for Blackburn, you'd hope so, but you never know. I think, look, Phil Parkinson, what fills me with the most confidence, not even in the league, is in the cup. Phil Parkinson has such a rich history in the cup, with Bradford beating Jose Mourinho's Chelsea and getting them all the way to Wembley. Bolton and others at Colchester. He's had great cup shocks. And with us ourselves, Coventry last season, nearly beating Sheffield United over 2 games. So, our lot won't be going there for as much as Blackburn might want to say, a big day out. We're going there to win. The only snag is, from our side, is the draw will already be made, and you know that if a Man United or a Liverpool comes out, that Blackburn will just actually turn up then, and it'll be really annoying for everyone.
I'm a Coventry fan, so I'd appreciate if you just stop mentioning that result for now, Nathan. That would be great. Thoughts on Wrexham from your point of view, Dan? From an outsider's point of view, obviously it's quite the story, Disney Plus documentary, the whole shebang. What's your view as a fan of another football league club at this point?
Yeah, Nathan referenced our ownership, and I bite your hand off now for theirs. It's when these situations come about, you always get the people talking about the fan base coming back, and people start talking about where were you when you were. I won't use the word, but it's a story that if it happens to another club, you kind of want them to do bad, and if it happens to your club, you suddenly want them to be this incredible club. We'd love to have someone come down and take us back to where we should be, or back to where we was once. Yeah, you're looking outside perspective, and obviously you see social media is full of it, and you kind of want to shut them up. But naturally, you do when they come to your ground. But it's a story. If it happens to your own club, you love it, don't you? So I won't lie. I want us to beat them, and I want us to give it a bit of the big uns if we do. But no, it's nice to see clubs doing well, and it'd be good if we could all have good owners rather than terrible owners like some of us might have.
And touching on those owners, it feels like at the moment this season, Blackburn are a bit of a club on the slide. Obviously, the complete opposite to Wrexham, are rising through the EFL. Blackburn have got a few issues. What's the current situation at the club? And are the Venkies having some financial issues at the moment, Dan?
Yeah, we might be playing each other next year. We might have to link up for another one in League One. Yeah, there's financial issues, definitely. The Indian government have stopped them from sending money into the UK. So basically, the only money that can come in now has to be approved by a court. So we can't just pump 5 million in and put on transfers like we wish we could. So yeah, we're basically at the situation where we're only getting money across to keep the lights on, and we're seeing it with the squad. The squad's been depleted a lot of the time. We're loaning out a player to bring another one in, which just never ends up making financial sense because then that player's got to get used to it. So we're sat in a situation where by the time we play Wrexham, I don't think we'll have strengthened the squad. But with that many little players, we're probably going to have to put a full team, a full strength team out when we play them. So financial issues are very high at the moment, especially given the recent result and a lot more focus on it. But yeah, it's not a positive time to be a Rovers fan after such a good time last year, including the cup memories and including just missing out on the playoffs on the last day. It's changed a lot in a couple of months, like we know football can.
And what do you think's gone wrong for John Dale Thomason during that time? Because last season he was regarded as one of the most talented young coaches in the Championship. I still think he's a very good manager, but it feels like his stock's falling with the club. Would you say that's the background issues impacting him, or do you think he's under a bit of pressure now as well?
Yeah, it's probably the $1 million question at the moment because I think on the outside we know the main issue isn't him. We know that he's basically got his hands tied. He can't strengthen his squad. He can't get the players in to play this direct passing style that he likes playing. He loves playing out from the back like we see probably every club do now, but he's not had them plays. So the overall feeling is sympathy for him. But then we keep losing games, and ultimately the only place you can really vent your frustrations is at the ground. And I feel it's starting to turn on him. At the time we're recording this, you never know. By the time we play, we might have a win under a belt at the weekend. But it feels like, although he's getting affected by these outside issues, he doesn't have a plan B. And if Wrexham do the homework on Rovers and work out why we're struggling and what teams are exploiting us for, we could see it again. He's not going to change his ways. We've just got to hope that either Wrexham don't do the homework, which I've no doubt they will do, or we've just got to hope that Rovers pulling out the bag and get a result and get us into that fifth round, especially like Nathan said, with a draw being done by the time the game's going to be played.
You're licking your lips there, Nathan, at the prospect of a weak Blackburn Rovers and an under pressure manager. It all bodes quite well for you, I think, previewing this game.
Now I'm getting excited. Now this is what I'm saying. Now I'm getting excited. I'm getting those same feelings, and this is where I bring disappointment upon myself. So I'll get excited, and Blackburn will turn up once between now and the end of the season, and it'll be against Wrexham. You watch. The thing is, Wrexham give out so much as well. James McElhenney's come in, and he's put in some good performances, but he's put in a lot more wind up antics on opposition fan bases, and that's definitely got under the skin of a lot of players. And at Shrewsbury, he was giving it large to Ryan Bowman, and Ryan Bowman went off without scoring a goal, and that he was more annoyed, I think, at James McElhenney. So you'd best believe that McElhenney will be giving it to the Blackburn fans and the Blackburn players, and that'll only amp up the crowd. So I'm excited. I think you've got to be. If we're looking at it on paper, like Dan said, we could be in the same league next year. Wrexham have nothing to fear. And that's the main thing. We had nothing to fear going to Shrewsbury. And last season, even going to Bramall Lane, having coughed up in the final second a 3-2 win, we would have had Tottenham. Players crestfallen. They were gutted. They felt like the chance had gone. We had 2 penalties at Bramall Lane. We're 1-0 up. We missed the second one. And then obviously Billy Sharp, and I can't even remember. I've blocked it out now. Someone else scored in stoppage time, and we lost. But they went on to go to the Premier League. Were one of the best teams in the Championship last season. So we had no fear there. And so respectfully, Blackburn are a great club. I've been there before, and Ewood Park's a great stadium. But we've had absolutely nothing to fear. And if any of the lads in the dressing room said so, I would be very, very confused.
Billy Sharp enjoyed giving it back to Wrexham after that win as well. So there might be a few Blackburn players doing the same thing. Final question kind of on Blackburn here, Dan. Do you think they'll have enough to stay in the Championship this season, or are you seriously concerned about relegation?
It's building as we go on. I think we'll be fine, and that might be famous last words. I just think there's 3 teams below us that shouldn't pick enough up on us by the end of the season, but we've seen it before. We saw Hull slide down from 6 at New Year to being in the relegation zone. It could happen. I think we'll have enough. I think Sammy Smodic scoring, nearly 20 goals this year should be enough to keep us up. But we've seen stranger things happen in football, and who knows? We're the most unpredictable club going. Like Nathan said, we could turn up at Ewood on Monday, and if we won 4-0, it wouldn't shock me. And if we got beat 4-0, it wouldn't shock me either, because that's Blackburn Rovers summed up.
And I've got a few big questions for you to debate between yourselves to finish this little podcast with. So the first question I've got for you both is, in 3 years' time, which football club, Blackburn or Wrexham, will be in the higher division?
See, I've still got to say Blackburn, haven't I? I've got to be realistic. I think
Really, I'm
Wrexham.
surprised by that.
Yeah,
I think it'll be similar.
I'd love to. I'd love to say. Maybe I could change my answer, maybe. But I think if I'm being realistic, I think Blackburn will survive. I think they will survive in the Championship, and I think internally at Wrexham, the feeling is that we've got out the National League and we'll hopefully get out of League Two. Then I think League One's a slightly different proposition. They're planning a big squad overhaul. You need to get new players in gel. I mean, we love Phil Parkinson, but who knows whether he'll be a fit? You never know how things change, how quickly things change. Talking about John Dal Thomason, things can change very quickly if Wrexham are, 18th in League One after 20 games or something. So, realistically, to be honest, if you'd have offered me a few years ago one division between Wrexham and Blackburn, I would have snapped your hand off. So I'm not going to get too greedy just yet.
Yeah, I think it could be close. I don't think we'll go down. Right, it's a good point there from Nathan. Though clubs come up and, I think Wrexham have done so well to not do what Salford have done. I know the season's not done yet, but we saw with Salford with all that money that went in. So I think we'll still be in a higher division, but like I say, it wouldn't shock me if Wrexham made it up to the Championship.
And one probably for you here, Nathan, is how many Wrexham players, if you're doing an 11v11, how many Wrexham players could you put forward to get into this Blackburn team at the moment?
This is where I cause utter fume on social media and just put, say, 11 Wrexham or something like that. Wow. I mean, realistically, I always debate, who do I think could go to the Championship now and get a game? Elliot Lee, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't even need to really pull up stats on Blackburn's midfield. The fact of where Blackburn are tells me they're not creating enough, and we've got a player that is on course for 20 plus goals from midfield. I mean, that's just sublime, and has played in the Premier League. Who else am I putting in there? Paul Mullin. I've got to put him in there, haven't I? He's
striker.
Yeah, put Paul Mullin and Schmodix up top, and they'll do some damage. I'll take Schmodix at Wrexham if he fancies it. If he's bored of this losing malarkey at Blackburn, I'll have him. We need a striker as well. Go with Mullin. Who else am I putting in there? I mean, there's lots of players that I think could play really well. Tom O'Connor at left centre back plays in midfield. George Evans, who we got from Millwall in the Championship. Again, Rolls Royce of a player. I know I watch him in League Two, so I'm a bit biased, but these are players that just make good decisions in tactical systems. They just make more right decisions than wrong. And there are plenty of Wrexham's players that I wouldn't dare put forward, but I'm not going to name those. So I would say right now to Black, I think there's 4 players that you can make real cases for that, that I'm not fantasizing and I'm not a propaganda machine. 4 players, I think: Elliot Lee, Paul Mullin, George Evans, and Tom O'Connor. I think those could easily cut the mustard in the Championship.
Dan, they all take your fancy. You take all 4 of them signing in January, wouldn't you?
It depends where Elliot Lee plays. Is he behind the striker?
He's playing in a midfield 3 for us. So we kind of have George Evans as a holder, Elliot Lee off the left, Andy Cannon, who also was from the Championship, playing with Hull, off the right. It'll be really interesting, that midfield, because we'll definitely set up in a 3-5-2. We have done pretty much every single game since Phil Parkinson arrived. He's got no plan to change that. Really, Wrexham's test will be out wide in those wing-back positions. Great going forward. Question marks defensively. So again, if you're saying about Wrexham doing the homework, if Blackburn could do the homework, if you've got any winger worth the grain and salt, I think Wrexham could have a job. But yeah, in midfield 3, and we'll go for it. We'll really go for it. I think in those first 15 minutes at Ewood Park, that your crowd, I think, might be a bit up for it, but they might be edgy as well. And if Wrexham come and sit back and let Blackburn set the tone, then we might be being bothered, especially if it's been a big draw. But if we go there, and Paul Mullin at Shrewsbury flew into a challenge, won the ball clean, turned to the away end and gave it large, and that was a bigger roar for the tackle than than the goal we scored in the game. So, expect stuff like that. Expect them to really try and whip up the 7,000 in the Darwin end to really make it feel, especially if Blackburn can't sell that many tickets. If it's, say, 10,000 and 7,000, expect that Wrexham lot to really will be loud. Trust me.
All makes for a very exciting encounter. And the next big question, I just want to get your views on the other team's manager. Obviously, I don't want to say would you swap, but I think Phil Parkinson has still got a bit to prove in the higher leagues. Would you agree with that, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny to me. I think he's so underrated outside of Wrexham. I think he's got this reputation of being a long ball manager. that doesn't really have an appetite to play football. I think, look, it didn't work out at Sunderland, but he did a great job at Bradford. He did a great job at Bolton. He got Bolton up in really difficult circumstances. At Wrexham, okay, he had the first year to kind of piece his squad together, but we've had nothing but great success ever since then. But all the time, all I get on social media is these messages about how terrible Phil Parkinson apparently is and how his tactics are rubbish and his tactics are boring. We win a lot of football matches. You might want to try it. He's quite good. Him and Steve Parkin are pretty good. They know what they're talking about. So, we can have all these cup scouts, but people just seem to not be interested really in this Phil Parkinson agenda, that he's actually a pretty good football manager.
Dan, do you agree with that? Do you think Parkinson could have another shot at the Championship at some point, or are you less sure on his ability?
And I wouldn't have him with us, but John, I think Rovers need a manager at the moment that's just going to win games. And I know he has done it at Wrexham, but the Championship's a tough ground, and when you don't have the players that we don't have at the moment, we need more of a manager that's going to come in and basically shore us up, a Neil Warnock kind of style. So no, I wouldn't take him, but like Nathan said, I think people see managers with money and just kind of expect them to do well. Salford's the prime example for me, that they've had some good managers in there that still haven't got them out of that league. So there's clearly proof he's doing well. I'd stick with John Dole for now over Phil.
I'd say having an unfashionable manager isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it means that there's not many clubs that higher in the pyramid that are going to poach Phil Parkinson from Wrexham.
Exactly.
Winning games.
Exactly.
That's all you need, isn't it? We'll end this with you two discussing how you see this game panning out. You touched on it there, Nathan, and then finally a score prediction from you both. Dan, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Nathan said about the start. I think Wrexham have got to get the crowd up for it. We saw in the game, even when we played Cambridge and there were, 1.5, 1.6 Cambridge fans there, they went ahead early and it really brought the nerves into Ewood. And that's what you have to do. Rovers good when they get the first goal. If we concede it, I think the crowd will turn, and I think it'll get to a stage where we've seen it before, when there's 7,000 in that away end bouncing around. Rovers can't keep the ball in play. The pressure's on. So for me, both sides have got to start strong. And if one of them gets that early lead, I think we'll see the game go. We'll see the tide change. And I'm expecting a good game. I think it'll be a lively one. And that's what maybe we feed off a bit more. We feed when there's more liveliness. I think we feed off a big away following from the other team. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to see a lot of tackles going in. People will want to prove the point. I think the players will have that bit of Wrexham Disney Plus stuff in their head. I think that's just natural when you play them. I'll go for a narrow Rovers win of 1-0, but that's backing us to keep a clean sheet. So don't come back to me when it's 4-4. Every game seems to be like that at the moment.
Nathan, how do you see this one going?
See, do I just lean into my reverse psychology? No, I think that Wrexham will give it a really good go. And I'd love to come on here and say Wrexham are going to hammer Rovers. If I'm being totally honest in what I think, you were saying you're a Coventry fan. I think if Coventry had started Gyökeres against us, we would have lost. But so if Schmodix and people like that are playing, I think Wrexham don't come up against anyone as good as that ever. They just don't come up against anyone of that caliber. I'm going to go for a high scoring game. I think Blackburn are very susceptible to conceding. We're very good at set pieces. Some big lads. You got that Bento's a long throw as well, remember? I'm going to go for a late sucker punch against Wrexham. I'm going to go 3-2 Rovers. I think it'll be a belting game. I think it'll be right on it, and maybe just that little bit of quality for the Championship's top goal scorer might just see him over the line.
Make sure you tune in for that one if it's going to be a 3-2. I think we could even see a replay, and take Blackburn back to the racecourse. I think that would be quite a tough test for.
We'll win that if we get into a replay. Their heads will have gone by then. They'll be worrying about being in the documentary and being embarrassed. John Dahl and the lads all have lost all composure by then. So replay, I'll snap your hand off.
Brilliant. I think that's a really good place to finish. Nathan from Rob Ryan Red Podcast, thank you very much for joining me, and Dan from Rovers Chat, thanks for joining me as well. Let's hope for an absolutely belting encounter at Ewood Park on Monday night.